This is Charisse from Classical Geckos, part 1 of our beginner care guide series. Today we will be discussing what is included in the starter kits we like to put together, the purpose of everything in the kit to help you provide the best care for your new Crested Gecko. Let's get started. Okay, the first thing I want to discuss is enclosure size. As a breeder, I don't like to sell a gecko to a beginner under the size of 8 or 10 grams. And from about 10 grams to 30, 35 grams, they do quite well in an enclosure size such as this. It's about the same size as an 18 by 12 by 12 enclosure, just a little bit smaller. But I find they do very well in this. It's somewhat portable if you need to take it to a friend's place when you're on vacation or something like that. Easy to clean. It has height, which is good for the arboreal species that crested geckos are, and it's front opening, so it's easy access to provide new food, water, spraying, and that sort of thing. Hello again. The next important part of crested gecko care is the temperature and the humidity. The best way to monitor that is having something like this, a little thermometer, hygrometer. I insert these into the front. They can be popped out so you can wash the bin down easily without damaging the thermometer. For crested geckos, you want a temperature range of 20 degrees Celsius to about 25. If you get up to 26, 27, that is quite warm for a crested gecko and they don't do well. So you can use this as a guide for what your house temperatures are. They don't need any external heat. Usually the natural temperature of your house is pretty good. As for humidity, you want the humidity to peak at night. You spray the enclosure down at night so it can peak at 80 to 100%, and then allowed to dry out during the night and then during the day. It should not get lower than about 45. If you find it gets lower than 45% during the day, you might want to give a little light mist in the morning as well. And if you find it gets too wet, then back off on the misting a little bit, because you don't want it moist all the time to encourage mold growth or respiratory infections and that sort of thing. The next thing you want to provide is things for your crested gecko to climb and sleep on. In our kits, we like to provide these paracord bridges that have snaps on the end for easy removal for cleaning. So all you have to do is snap it in, and this can support the weight of your little crested gecko. Other things you can use that you might have around the house, where do I have those, are paper towel rolls. I find in these, the paper towel rolls are like the perfect size to just fit them in like that. They do get a bit soft if you mist them too much and they might fall, but then you can just replace it with a new one. Some other things you can use are pool noodles. This one's not cut to the size of this bin, but you get the idea. You cut it to size and you insert it. With these, you just have to be careful that you either get one without the hole or you block the hole so the crested gecko can't get inside, because I have heard of them getting stuck. So if you're using something from around the house, you just have to make sure that it doesn't have anything dangerous like chemicals on it, or that it can't get trapped or injured on the item you are using. Next, I'd like to discuss what kind of substrate I use. And for a new crested gecko and the smaller ones, I like to use just paper towel because it's easy to swap out when it gets dirty. You can see if they're pooping and therefore eating. And sometimes the smaller ones, if they're chasing crickets down, they can ingest substrate and it can create a blockage. It's fairly rare, but it can happen. So I just like to use paper towel. It's just simpler for me. So I just kind of fold it up to the approximate size of the enclosure and put it in there. It's really simple. Doesn't have to be fancy. Just so you have something on the bottom for easy cleaning. Okay, so next up is providing foliage for your crested gecko to hide in, because if they have lots of places to hide, they feel more secure, and when they feel secure, they're more likely to eat and thrive. So what I like to use are the more plastic type plants. This one is a vine from Pangea, and this is a vine from ZooMed. I like these because they're super easy to clean. They don't get moldy. You can disinfect them with hydrogen peroxide and it's not going to damage them. And they last long. So they might cost a bit more, but they last long over many washings, and I wash my stuff all the time. So I found these to really work well. And this is what I provide in our starter kits. So to put them in, make sure the side is clean so the suction cup can stick well. And I like to just put it close to the bridge so they can climb up on the bridge and have a place to sleep where they're well hidden. So I put one on one side, one on the other side, just like that. Hello, next I'm going to discuss food and water. I like to use these 0.5 ounce silicone dishes as food dishes. That's provided in the kit. And I also provide a few of these 0.5 ounce plastic cups for fresh water. It's important to provide fresh water every day for your crested gecko. They will lick the mist off of the foliage and the sides of the enclosure when you mist at night, but they will also drink water from a water dish. The water I provide in water dishes is usually bottled water because our water is very hard. There's a lot of minerals in it, and the bottled water doesn't have chlorine. You don't have to dechlorinate it or anything like that. So that's just what I do. The food I provide in the kit is this Pangea Gecko Complete Diet with fig and insects. This seems to be my gecko's favorite flavor, so I like to start them out with their favorite in their new homes. So the complete diet is a very important part of your crested gecko's nutrition. You definitely want to give that to them 3 to 4 times a week. But you will also want to provide crickets about once a week. And when you feed them crickets, you want to dust them with the calcium and vitamin D3. We also provide some of this in the starter kit. What you will need in addition to that we don't provide, is just a container to dust the crickets in. So I put like 3 crickets in, put a little bit of the calcium powder, shake it around to get the crickets coated, and then they're good to go. I use just tweezers like this to just grab the crickets out of that container, and I put them in a container like this. This is provided in the kit as well. I put the crickets in there and then put the crested gecko in, and they like to hunt the cricket down. And I do like to put the lid on, so while they're hunting their little crickets down, You can change out the paper towel and do general maintenance in their enclosure. And they're nice and safe and secure, eating their crickets. You can clean that once a week. Works out perfectly. Hi, so I wanted to also go over the placement of their food and water dishes. A lot of people think because they're all arboreal that they like their food and water provided high up in the canopy. But I have found that to just not be true. Some prefer it up there, but most of mine actually do eat if you place the food dish just on the ground. I like to put it right in the front so it's easy for me to see if they're eating and to switch out the new food, provide fresh water every day, and that sort of thing. So yeah, you can just keep it right there on the bottom. You can also provide a feeding ledge if you prefer. Try it out. Some geckos like it high, some like it low. Last but not least, we like to provide a water bottle for misting your enclosure at nighttime. I like to fill it with distilled water just so you don't get that mineral buildup on the walls. That can sometimes be a pain in the butt to clean off. So this one already has been misted, but you want to mist the sides, the roof a little bit, the foliage, and I do a bit of the door here as well. I don't soak the paper towel too much because you don't want to encourage mold growth, and I do allow everything to generally dry out during the day. If you find that it is getting too dry, like around 35% during the day, you might want to give it a light mist in the morning as well. And that should typically be good enough to last your crested gecko till the next misting at night. Also remember, always provide clean, fresh water for them to drink. If it's a bit drier in your enclosure and you're not home, at least they have a water source where they can rehydrate. Okay, I almost forgot to show you my son's crested gecko. This is one that we bred last season, and he keeps her in one of the same enclosures that we sell as a starter kit up in his bedroom. So this little cutie is Papaya. She is about 12-13 grams and half fired up. She's a little bit grumpy because I woke her up. But she's pretty cute. Anyway, I hope you all have a great day and enjoy your new crested gecko. So that wraps up part 1 of our care guide series. We will provide additional videos in more detail on specific topics such as feeding and cleaning and general care, what questions you might have if they seem to be sick or if you think they're not eating. So follow us, like our videos, and stay tuned for more care guide tips. Thank you everyone for listening, and take care out there.